Well, hello everybody. It's Ronnie with Whip and Chain. I work alongside Maggie and Lauren to bring you fun crochet tutorials. Today we have this little guy and I have named him Wally the Whale. I am not very big into crocheting origami, but we have a lot of members on our page that are truly requesting some. So I'm trying to dive into it a little more and understand everything about it because there's so many pieces to it. But I did make this little guy. Now this is a pattern that's been around since the beginning of the internet time. But he's a good place to start. It's not a real hard pattern. It does take a little time, but not a hard pattern. It's basically all single crochets, then slip stitches, and increases and decreases. So it's definitely something very beginner friendly. And what's nice about these, if you choose to make these, you can make these with the center coin area here. All different colors, like two pink, two red, two yellow, two orange, two purple, and with the kids, you can make a matching game out of it. Like set them down like this and the kids have to match them. Just an idea, just a thought. But let's go over what you're going to need to make this handsome little man. You're definitely going to need some eyes. Now, if your kids are young that are going to be doing this, I would recommend just maybe stitching an eye onto them because these little eyes could become choking hazards. But I'm going to be using these. All right, you will definitely need them. You will need a stitch marker, unless you want to use a piece of yarn or something else that works for you. Now, for me, I'm going to need 4 because that's what I use to count my rows, and 1 for marking. You will need a 3mm hook is what I'm recommending, but if you want to go bigger or smaller, that's obviously your choice. As you can see in my hand, he's not that big. Okay, and I am using, just let me zoom you out here, Red Heart Super Saver yarn. It's not my favorite. My favorite is Hobby Lobby. If anybody watches my videos, they will know Hobby Lobby is my ultimate go-to, and the reason being is a lot of yarn, it splits. Red Heart splits, a lot of the other brands split, but Hobby Lobby yarn does not split when I'm using it, especially if you're a tighter crocheter. So, excuse me, I'm drinking some caffeine this morning. Well, it's afternoon here. All right, so you can make your whale any color you want. I just did gray because when I think of a whale, I think of what color are they, and they're usually gray for me. I did a video with my Moo, my little dog here last night, and he just got into everything into the room, and if he's going to do that today, I'm going to just put him out with his dada and his sister Mia. So anyway, let's get started. So for this, because I want my holes to be as close as possible, I'm using a magic ring. But if you do not want to use a magic ring or a magic circle, I just need you to chain 3 and slip stitch into the first stitch. Okay. All right, so magic ring, here we come. Oh, and the other thing you will need, and it was very important, are some darning needles. I apologize, forgot all about them. All right, let's get started. All right, now if you did the chain 3, after you did the chain 3, go in, after you do the chain 3, chain 1. Okay, now we're all in the same place. For your first one, I want you to put 6 single crochets into your center loop. Now, I immediately dive in with my stitch marker. That way I don't have to guess, and we will be working in the round, so it's a huge help to know where your beginning stitch is. Now, some people are actually using the tails of their project. If that works for you, by all means, please do it, okay? So whatever you can do to remember where your beginning stitch is. So we'll do 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, I'm going to close this, but I'm not going to close it super tight yet because when you pull these, is it just me? When you pull these really tight after your first row, it's hard to see all your stitches. And I found if I do like 2 or 3 rows before I tighten it, it still tightens just perfectly, and it helps me see my rows. Just a thought. So that's just row 1, 6 single crochets. Then I'm going to put my hook in where my stitch marker is. Take out my stitch marker, and I am going to put 2 single crochets into the first stitch. Now, after I get those 2 in, again, I'm going to take my stitch marker, and then I'll mark the first stitch. So it's 2 single crochets in every stitch, and you will end up with 12. Okay? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So now you have 12 stitches, and you know where your first stitch is. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? I really hope so. Okay, for the next round, I'm going to stick my hook into the first stitch, take out my stitch marker, and I'm going to put 1 single crochet into that first stitch, just 1. And then you guessed it, I'm putting my stitch marker back in. So in the next stitch, I'm going to put 2 single crochets. And this is the pattern for the next round. 1 single crochet, then 2 single crochet. Then you will end up with 18 stitches. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1 crochet in the first stitch, 2 in the next, 1 in the next, 2 in the next. Okay? $16, $17, and $18. Now that I have my stitches established, now I can pull this tight. Okay, this is a good time now that you got the tightness that you want, this is the perfect time for me to make a mess with my needles. Now, it's a perfect time for you to weave in this end, because this end is actually going to need to be weaved in. That way you can maintain this tightly closed. And the nice thing about it is then you honestly don't have to worry about it. And you don't have to cut this. You can use this as part of the stuffing to stuff it. I just wanted my tail weaved. So now we have 18 stitches. Let's slip my hook in the next stitch marker. Take this out. And the first stitch this time, I'm going to put 2 single crochets in that first stitch. Then you put 1 single crochet and in each of the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And then 2 in the next. And that's your pattern for going all the way around. So it's 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, and all the way around. And you should end up with 24 stitches. Okay? So I did my 2, 1, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And 23, 24. So we just have one more row of increases. So I'm going to slip my hook in that first stitch again. I'm going to put 1 single crochet. Put my stitch marker right back in there. And then I'm going to put 1 single crochet. I did the first one in the next 2 more stitches. And then 2 in the next one. So it's 3 singles, then 2 and 1. So it's 3 singles, then 2, 3 and 2, 3 and 2, until you get all the way around, and then you will end up with 30 stitches. 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. All right. I hope everybody's doing well on this so far. Now, you see how I have my 4 markers here? I want you to do stitch for stitch 4 rows. So 4 rows of just 30 stitches each. Okay? So set my hook in here. And here we go. I'm going to do 1 round with you, and then I'll do the last 3 off. And 30. Now I'm going to do a round. I'll just move 1 over. Okay. Do 3 more rounds of stitch for stitch. Okay, we're on our last round. And 7, 28, 29, and 30. And everybody, please recognize with this pattern, you really do got to make sure you have 30 stitches. Okay. Okay. So you can take out your stitch marker for there. After you did your 4 rounds, this is what it should look like. Yep, it's the top of the wheel. So right here, I want you to chain 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the third chain up, I want you to put a double crochet. Okay. In the next stitch, I want you to put a half double. And in that last stitch, I want you to put a slip stitch. And then I want you to slip stitch to the outer stitch of where you came out of. Okay. Now chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the second chain, I want you to put a double crochet. In the next stitch, I bet you guessed it, put a half double. And in that very last stitch, do a slip stitch. Then again, right in the front loop only, do another, make sure you're in the, make sure you're right in the front loop. There we go. And there is his back fins, his tail, whatever you want to call it. So, cut your yarn. Do not chain one, just bring your yarn all the way through. Okay. Pull it up in front, and then you take your hook and that stitch that your tail's coming out of, weave your yarn back in there. And then I want you to secure just secure it in a little bit. Don't go into these outer stitches or anything. Just secure it a little bit in the middle. And make sure don't pull your tail tight like I just accidentally did. And this one again, you do not have to cut. All right. Now I want you to grab your white yarn, please. Now you can start wherever you want, but I like starting at the tail. I want you to put a single crochet in every stitch, but only in the loop that's closest to the center. So first, grab my yarn. Okay, like that. come through. And chain 1. So in every stitch, single crochet, and count. Make sure you have 30. Nine, 10. I'll meet you when we're around with 30. Okay. I went around one time, and this is what she'll look like so far. All right. So now is a good time to do your eyes, and I'm going to reiterate. If this is for very young children, I would probably stitch an eye on, because these could be choking pieces. You could choke on them. So it's up to you what size eye you want, obviously, or even if you want to try a colored eye, totally up to you. And that should work. So you take your piece, do not cut your white yarn, and what I suggest is you flatten it, make the tail, the back fin, your centerpiece, and you flatten it. Once you find your center, mark it however you'd like. So you take your marker. Actually, I thought that doesn't look center. Let's see. All right, once you got your center, I love when I'm videoing it cuts off. Anyway, so you marked your center, and then I want you to just count over 5. 5 stitches. Okay, make sure you're happy with where you want to put it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you go one above where the white is. Yeah. And before I put the back on, what I do is I count 5 over on the other side. Okay. If you're happy with it, then put your backs on it. That one's too small. You know, I bought this eye pack forever ago, and it has really come in handy with everything that I'm doing. And then Okay. All right. Now you got your eyes on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. And please use your stitch marker. Okay. 2 and 3. We're going to do 2 together, a decrease. So we're going to go in the first stitch, grab some yarn, go into the second stitch, grab some yarn, 3 loops, and go through all 3. Okay, that's it for this round. So it's 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and then your last 2 together. 1 and 2. Okay. This part gets really fast because it's a lot of decreasing. So in your next stitch, you're going to put in 2 single crochets. So I'll mark that, my first stitch. And 1 in the next, and then 2 together. 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, and 2 together. 1, 2, and 2 together. 1, 2, and 2 together. 1, 2, and then 2 together. I'm going to zoom you out a little bit because I think you guys got this, because you guys are rock stars. All right, then 1, 2, and then 2 together. All right. Now here is a good place to add some stuff in if that's what you want to do. You know, these would make amazing mobiles. Like I said, a matching game. Don't overstuff it, because the last thing you want to be doing is crocheting with filler getting stuck on your hook, okay? Okay. Now, I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then a decrease. So it's 1, and because I'm a stickler for my things working out the way I need them to, I'm going to put my stitch marker back on, but that's your choice. So now a decrease. Okay, 1 single, and then a decrease. And then a single. And a decrease. Single. And a decrease. Single. And then a decrease. And a single. And then a decrease. Now, if you guys aren't happy with your filling, now's the time to stick a little more in there if that's what you want to do. Okay. Because after this, it's going to be hard to get stuff in there. Okay. Make sure you have them heat up the way you want. Okay. Now every stitch is a decrease. Okay. You do not need your stitch marker anymore, because you're not decreasing until your hole's really small. So here's a decrease. There's a decrease. Decrease. And you just keep going. All right, that's as tight. Now you want to take your darning needle, And now all you need to do is weave in and out to close up the rest of that. Now the weaving is the best way to do it because it keeps it looking like a natural crochet. All right, and then do a gentle tie. Then you take your hook, bring it up through the top of him, pull it tight, snip, and then your end is lost for all eternity. Now, just his side fins, and then he is done. So from the eye, I go back 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring my hook up, grab yarn, bring it through, chain 1. Then in here in that same loop, you put in 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cut your yarn, bring it through, and then I'm never going to recommend you knot it here because it'll be extremely noticeable. Get a bigger needle. So. So you go in where it came out, come through the back. See how it pulls it in? And then all you want to do is go in a little bit different place than where you came out. And always stay in the gray. And then okay. See it? And then you do the same thing on the other side. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chain. 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't think I told you, but you can slip stitch. It's not the end of the world if you don't. And you cut it right. So while I'm weaving in the ends, let's talk about this a little bit. So this is the first origami. If I'm screwing up the pronunciation, I do apologize. Never claimed my English language was the best. Anyway, if you like projects like this, would you kindly leave a comment at the bottom? Because then I would know to try to find some more patterns and to do more. If this is something that you guys are really enjoying. I guess I struggle with the smaller needles, but you know, practice does make things go a little better. So I have no qualms about doing more of these. I'd just like to know what you guys think. I started off with the easier one of many, because there's a lot where you have to sew on the pieces and this and that. And I just wanted to see where everybody stands with these guys. But here they are. And now this one looks a little bigger, no, smaller than this one. I think my stitches were looser. But see, by going on the inside loop, you got this stitching all the way around. It looks like his mouth. Isn't that cool? He turned out great. They both did. And I thank you. I'm Ronnie, and I work with Maggie to bring you wonderful crochet tutorials. If you like what we're doing, can you please hit that subscribe button at the bottom and hit that like button? We'd really appreciate it. I work with Lauren and Maggie, and we are on Facebook. Please come find us, and we'd be thrilled to see you there. We're WIP for Work in Progress and Chain. Until my next video, happy crocheting, everybody. Please stay safe. Bye.